It is time once again for Cannabis News. Welcome, everybody. I'm your host, Joe Clare. It's October 23rd, 2019. The show, as always, is presented to you by the Marijuana Times. Find us at marijuanatimes.org. Click the video tab there. You will find the show. A lot of great articles there as well. marijuanatimes.org. Today we're talking about Kentucky and their chances of medical marijuana next year. Also, a new study looks at social media and marijuana use, and we'll talk about the recreational retail market in California falling short of expectations. All of that coming up. But first, of course, Cannabis News is brought to you by Natureside, nature-side.com, and the organic, all-natural pesticides. Grow safe and poison-free with Natureside. Don't use harmful chemicals or ban pesticides on whatever it is you're growing, whether it's cannabis or not. Use Natureside, nature-side.com. You got pests? They'll get rid of them. Get rid of the pests. Natureside. Thank you. Natureside, a proud sponsor of the show. As I've said many times now, for over 500 episodes. Thank you, Natureside. It's first story. By yours truly. At marijuanatimes.org, will Kentucky legislators finally pass a medical marijuana bill next year? Next year being 2020. For those of you wondering, I got a chance to talk with Jamie Montalvo, who's founder of the Kentuckians for Medical Marijuana. Said our odds are improving. Citizens are speaking about cannabis more and more, which in turn is making our legislators feel more comfortable. We're fortunate to have a tenacious fighter like Representative Jason Nemes in the House. He and Representative Diane St. Agni work their caucuses. God, let me try this again. I was so worried about the name and trying to get the names right, I screwed up the rest of the words in the sentence. I'm a professional broadcaster, I swear. They worked their caucus hard to gather 53 co-sponsors and 65 yes votes during the 2019 session. It's over half of the representatives sponsoring the bill, and over two-thirds say they will vote yes. Hopefully 2020 will give legislators the courage to move medical cannabis legislation forward in Kentucky. If you live in Kentucky, you've got to contact your legislators. And Kentuckians for Medical Marijuana and Kentucky Normal will be descending, and other groups will be descending on Frankfort next year to attempt again to get medical marijuana through the Kentucky legislature. And I'll continue to update you on their progress. Of course, this next story is, let me move over here. There we go. From NBC15.com. New study looks at social media influence on marijuana use. I know. This is important, dangerous stuff. Marijuana and Twitter don't mix. A new study found 1 in 3 youths in states with legal recreational marijuana engage with brands on social media. The Cannabis Advertising and Social Media Study, CASM, is based at the UW School of Medicine and Public Health. The study was recently published in the journal Drug and Alcohol Dependence. The study also found adolescents who liked or followed marijuana marketing on social media were 5 times more likely to have used marijuana over the past year compared to those who did not. The CASM study is the first study in the United States to examine the role of youth exposure to marijuana marketing in social media. Kids who can't buy or use non-medical marijuana shouldn't have to see these promotions, and they shouldn't be able to interact with them, said Dr. Megan Moreno, the lead investigator of CASM and professor of pediatrics at the University of Wisconsin School of Medicine and Public Health. These numbers should all be 0, she said. I don't know. I mean, look. The problem they're saying is that youth see marijuana on social media and makes them want to use marijuana so they could get a hold of some marijuana. Youth rates are staying steady, are going down with legalization. There's no way around those numbers. There's no way around those trends. So whatever your fear is of the 482 15 to 19-year-olds in 6 states where recreational use is legal that they surveyed in this study, whatever your worry is about them, it's not anything that's going to be changed by social media in conjunction with legalization. If adolescents use marijuana, yes, they will be more likely to interact with those accounts on social media. And in the end, what are we supposed to do about this? Let's say we don't want youths interacting with marijuana accounts on social media. What exactly do we do about that? Because I'll tell you what, young people who shouldn't be getting it, have been getting relatively easily hardcore pornography for decades. Well, since hardcore pornography has existed, and since the advent of the internet, is just, you wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe how easy it is for a 15-year-old to log onto a computer and find porn. 5 seconds. 5 seconds. They have porn. They have porn. They have the most graphic, specific porn you can think of. And we haven't figured out a way to stop that. We have a thing that says, hey, are you 18? Come on, you can tell me. I'm the internet. You can tell me the truth. Are you 18 or not? If you click yes, well, here's some hardcore pornography. If you click no, well, thank you for your honesty. We'll see you later. Go to the SpongeBob website. So we can't keep kids from hardcore pornography, but the Raw Rolling Papers account on Twitter, well, they can't see that, and we got to figure out a way to stop that. It's dumb. I know you got a grant or whatever for your study, and that's great, and numbers are cool, and research, and blah, blah, blah. But who cares? Who cares? 16-year-old sees a bong from the Roar account on Facebook, and okay, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. One, there's so many more things for your kids to be exposed to that can harm them. They would rate much, and if you rated them in terms of dangerousness and rank them, seeing a marijuana picture on Instagram falls way down the list. Even if you're talking about substances that kids can experiment with, the actual physical substance, I would put marijuana above just about anything else they can try. Which includes, obviously, any kind of mind-altering substances, sex, driving too fast, jumping off a water tower. I don't know if kids still do that or not anymore. I think that's that 70s show thing. I have no idea. You get my drift. I'm not saying kids should try marijuana, but if they're going to try something, I'd rather be marijuana over a billion other things. But we're going to act like this is the end of the world, that they're being exposed to marijuana on social media. They'll be fine. You'll be fine. We'll all be fine. It's fine. They see a big dragon glass bong that they would never in a million years figure out how to smoke from on Snapchat or whatever. So what? Jesus Christ. Calm down. Everybody needs to calm down. Kids are being exposed to bong pictures on the internet. I could list some things worse than bong pictures that your kids are being exposed to on the internet. But this is a family show, so I will move on. It's the type of language that I would use in one of my other podcasts, but not this one. It's way beyond where I'm willing to go here. This last story is from CBS News. Regulation and thriving black market burning up profits of California's legal weed businesses. Basically, it's coming Sunday, October 27th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern and 7 p.m. Pacific. Sharon Alfonsi is going to report from Northern California's Emerald Triangle on 60 Minutes on CBS. People who talked to Alfonsi about, growers, about what's going on there and how rough it is. Mikey Steinmetz said, quote, "The regulated market has been a fraction of what everyone expected it to be. So far, he hasn't seen the profits promised to investors who put up $175 million to seed his pot processing center, a sprawling warehouse where he shows Alfonsi tens of thousands of pounds of cannabis being processed for sales to retailers. And those retailers are a big part of the problem. There aren't enough of them. There's less retailers in California than there are in the state of Oregon," he tells Alfonsi. And California, of course, has nearly 10 times the population of Oregon. They mention a lot of the problems. The high processing fees, the taxes. 80% of the state's towns and cities have turned legal pot shops down. They've banned them, even though the majority of the state voted for recreational legalization. The majority of towns and jurisdictions have banned pot shops. And listen to this. Casey O'Neill, who's a licensed grower, served time for cultivating pot when it was illegal. It turned out O'Neill's vision of earning a lucrative living doing the thing he loves was just a pipe dream. After jumping through all the regulatory hoops with costs of $50,000 over a few years, he said there was no profit in growing his 45 plants. He said permits for consulting $2,500 a year for the water board discharge permit, $750 a year for the pond permit, $1,350 application fee to the county, plus another $675 when they actually give you the permit annually. We've talked about this a lot before, but I will go through it quickly again. The problem in California, besides the fact that 80% of towns and cities and jurisdictions have banned pot shops, which contributes to the main problem, which is a lack of supply. A lack of legal supply. And what legal supply there is priced because of regulations and fees and taxes way above what the illegal market can sell it at. And as long as that happens, none of this is going to be resolved. Economically, most people in California are continuing to go to unlicensed shops. They're going to continue to go through the medical marijuana program. They're going to continue to go through to illegal dealers. The dude down the street, the guy they know that brings them by an ounce. That's what they're going to do. They're not going to drive 2 hours to the nearest place that has legal marijuana to pay 30 or 40% more than they would to their dealer. Why would they? They have no incentive. Incentive is the key to this whole survival of the legal marijuana industry. Tens of millions of customers are waiting in this country. They just need incentive to go from the illegal market to the legal market. And you pile regulations and fees and taxes on growers and retailers. You restrict where retailers can operate from, and all of this contributes to high prices and restriction of supply, which further contributes to more high prices because supply is not enough relative to demand, and you have a stalemate. More supply. Everything done in California should be geared towards more supply, whether it's delivery services, whatever. Somehow figuring out how to get more jurisdictions to accept these businesses, cutting these fees, cutting the taxes, cutting the regulations, letting people get into the business, letting them be able to get into the business and actually survive against competition from the illegal market. All these things need to happen. And until they do, there's going to continue to be these stories now making mainstream news outlets and news shows like 60 Minutes. We're going to continue to see these stories. More supply, more legal marijuana, and more places to sell it. All of that. The supply, more supply, more supply, more access to legal marijuana for consumers. It'll bring prices down. It'll bring people from the illegal market to the legal market. Economics is a wonderful thing. Supply and demand is a wonderful thing because it makes things kind of predictable. Obviously, economics is the total of millions of decisions by individuals every minute of every hour of every day. But with incentives, you can kind of predict large movements of people. When you have a Black Friday sale, retailers are expecting, they predict that large movements of people will come into their stores or go online and buy their products. And if you lower the price of legal marijuana and give people enough places to find it, well, they'll buy it. And that's what we want, right? That's the point. People buying legal marijuana, isn't that what legalization is supposed to be? I don't know. Maybe it was something else. I have no idea. I thought it was people, instead of going to jail for buying marijuana and selling marijuana, they could sell it legally and people could buy it legally and possess it legally. I don't know. Just gotta... You can't just lament the fact that the black market is alive and well in California. You have to actually do things if you want that state of affairs not to be anymore. You actually do things to get that to happen. And in terms of government, you gotta back off, man. I'm going to talk to the government like it's a person right now, the California state government. You gotta back off, man. With everything. And help find a way for jurisdictions to start opening up shops. Stores with legal marijuana. It's what's needed. It's not the answer to every problem, but more stores with marijuana is the answer to a lot of problems. I guarantee you that. Thanks, everybody, for checking out the show. We're here 5 days a week on Cannabis News and MarijuanaTimes.org. Thank you to Natureside, nature-side.com, and their organic all-natural pesticides. Thanks, as always, to all of you for liking and sharing and commenting on the videos and checking us out on Apple Podcasts and spreading the truth about cannabis with this show. Thanks for watching and listening today, and we'll see you next time right here on Cannabis News.